Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. Today's episode feels like we haven't all been on a call together for like ages.
No, we
But
haven't.
this is going to be a new series. Whenever Doctor Who's talked about on the podcast now, it's going to be called Who Talk, unless a famous actor comes on.
Yeah.
If that happens, that will just be a out of Who Talk. But we're still talking about Doctor Who. But yeah, so this episode is currently Doctor Who Day, so happy Doctor Who Day, everyone. And we might get some other news regarding that today. Um, as and Doctor Who Day is a very nice day with Doctor Who fans around the world. So hopefully we get some news. Hopefully we get a trailer today. We might have already got one, and I'm speaking like in the past or the future. So welcome to James, Jack, and Josh.
Hi,
Great
everyone.
to have you back on the podcast. It feels like forever since we've done one. So how is everyone?
Yeah, man, I'm good. I've had a very busy time of it, but yeah, I am good. All is good now.
Brilliant. How about how are you, Jack? How you been doing?
All is well. All is well. Been on top of things with university lately. So yeah, all's good. All's good.
Brilliant. And James, how are you?
Feeling a little more, a bit more relieved after hearing a little bit of news of Doctor Who over the last month or so.
Mm.
Hearing of the Christmas special and the bringing forward of the war between the land and the sea, which I'm sure we'll be talking about at some
Yay.
point.
Yeah, very exciting, very exciting. So it was a very random day when that Doctor Who news kind of came, like Doctor Who was returning. Um,
Yes, it
and
was.
does everyone remember where they were at the time of that news?
I'm so glad you asked that. I won't go first. I'll let someone else go first.
Right. I was actually here in my bedroom watching an episode when that news dropped. So yeah, it's quite ironic.
Oh, that's brilliant. Like, what episode was you watching?
Um, I was starting on the Legend of Ruby Sunday.
Wow, that's a good episode. Yeah,
Mm.
very good. Um, I was in this room I am now, so I'll just say that because it's not that exciting. Um, what about you, James?
I think I was a bit late to the party. I found out while I was at work, and two of my co-workers who are sat next to me are big Doctor Who fans. And I found out, and I turned left. I was like, "Guys, have you seen the announcement?" And then we started talking about it for about half an hour or so. So yeah, it was good fun to be surrounded by people at the time.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
Hmm.
I do know where Jack was. It was quite funny when he told me this. But Jack, where were you?
It's like university about to give a presentation. It was literally, I'm not even joking. I was about to present my final idea, and I was feeling really nervous about that at the time. And because our classroom's basically like a cinema room, basically. It's hard to describe it.
Oh, fantastic.
And I was nearer to the front, and I was just remember feeling I was basically doing an Alan. I was like getting quite sweaty because I was getting really nervous about the presentation, and I remember needing a fan as well. And then I saw the news. I was like, and I just like gasped, and people looked at me like, "What are you gasping?" It's like, "Sorry, I thought I dropped my phone." Like I had to actually like give an explanation as to why I nearly dropped my phone. But basically, I remember seeing the news, and it just gave me so much confidence in doing the presentation. So I did the presentation, and it's almost like, it was always meant to be that. It was always meant to help me push that confidence. And presentation went really well. But yeah, I don't quite know where I would, what would have happened if the announcement didn't happen, because I think I would have probably that. When you get your nerves gets a little too much. Yeah, that the announcement helped me with my presentation more than it should have done.
You must have been on cloud nine at the time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Cloud
yeah.
10.
It's,
Um, and yeah, so that's where I was. And then I started talking with people, reading it as the lecture went on. And yeah, I was really happy with the news and talk more about it. When I read 2026, I thought that's a quick turnover. So,
Yeah.
but yeah,
yeah.
Did you guys expect it to be later?
yes.
I thought it was going to be a lot later, actually. Yeah, I didn't think that we'd get what. I didn't think that we'd get any more Who till at least what, like 2027 or something.
Yeah.
So it was a nice surprise, honestly.
I did think it was going to be around 2038 or something. No, okay, not that
Oh my goodness.
late. No, about 2028. I was thinking. I don't know, but yeah, it's
Yeah.
very soon, and it was quite funny because I think I shook Jack. Well, when I put it in the group chat. I said, "Tell me," because I didn't say about the news. I said, "Tell me you've heard the news." I didn't say if Doctor's
Mhm.
getting cancelled or if Doctor Who's going to be.
Yeah,
So,
thank. That just added more to my sweat in the presentation. Just to let you know.
but yeah, I mean, what about you, James? What when did you think it was going to come back, Doctor Who?
Yeah, I thought maybe spring 2027. I thought that they were going to need at least one clear year to sort of film the next series, get everything in order, find a new streaming partner. And at the time, I fully expected The War Between the Land and the Sea to air around about spring 2026, which would have meant that we wouldn't have heard much about the new era until maybe later in 2026. So that's why I had sort of early 2027 set in my head. So it was a pleasant surprise, actually. And the fact that they're bringing the War Between the Land and the Sea forward, I think we can take as quite a promising sign that they're getting all their ducks in a row, and we're going to find out
Yeah.
fairly soon
I was
when.
really happy about that because I did wonder when we get it, and then like we may not have a special, but at least we have something over the festive period. So I'm happy with that.
Yeah, it's interesting because I guess because it's about sea devils and the sea, it's kind of a kind of wintry kind of vibe to it. So it kind of does make sense for it to be released around December.
Is it set in the winter time?
I'm not sure.
Well, we don't know that for sure. I read somewhere that it's basically, I hate leaks, but I'm gonna just say this is a leak. But basically, the leak is that it's a concept that he had already written, but this was pre-announcement. So if you can hear someone's just using the uh brains going. You can hear something. I nearly said lawnmower, but why would you use lawnmower indoors? Um, but basically, what they said was it's the original concept that he had, but he's going to rework it to make it for the Christmas period.
Oh,
Oh,
I see.
okay. Interesting.
Yeah,
My brain has actually gone blank. What is the thing that you use indoors to clean the carpet?
Vacuum
uh,
cleaner or Hoover?
Hoover.
Hoover, thank you.
Yeah,
Lawnmower.
Lawnmower.
well, a lawnmower. Yeah, unless you live in grass. Um, yeah, I so with this spin-off, there's been a lot of controversy around it, and I mean like people in the fandom just say that they're not as bothered about it, but for me, I am, and I'm very excited for it because we haven't had a spin-off properly probably since was it Torchwood or Class. I forget about Class. um, but yeah, I think it's going to be an interesting concept of the Sea Devils. To me, they look a bit like avatars. um, but I like that. I like the difference and the different concept of the design of the sea devils because I feel like it's gonna be interesting. The cast looks good. You've got Russell Tovey. Who used to play Alonso in Doctor Who. So I think as long my only request is each episode to be an hour, right? 5 episodes,
Yeah,
all an hour
yeah.
long. If they're not an hour long, I do worry for it.
Well,
That's the
bear in mind as well, sorry, James, bear in mind, run times isn't, you don't need to have a fixed runtime for an episode to be good. It needs to have a runtime that will benefit the show. So it could be 55
Yeah,
minutes, knowing that
yeah.
that 5 minutes was just fluff.
It's
Yeah,
got to be enough time to tell the story that is being written. And I think that was one of the big criticisms of the last couple of seasons of Doctor Who, is that there was just simply far too much crammed into a short space of time. The thing is with shorter with well, I say shorter episodes. 45 minutes isn't a short episode, but it's not a long episode. Um, thing is with those sorts of lengths is that it's got to fit. I guess pretty much what Jack said. It's kind of got to fit or be enough time to tell the story.
yeah. I agree. I just don't like when an episode's 42 or 43 minutes. I'm fine with 45 minutes, 46 minutes, but I just feel when an episode's 42, 43, I just feel like that's not long enough for a Doctor Who
I
episode.
think I think in terms of episode length, I think it's a bit more about how you use that run
Yeah.
time. Because as you say, there have been episodes that are like 42, 43 minutes, but they've used their run times quite well. So it's about how you use what amount of time that you're given, I think.
Yeah. I think Lux was about that, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. It used its pacing well.
Yeah, it did quite well. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting what happens. I'm actually quite interested in the title sequence, how that's going to work for the spin-off. Um,
Yeah, it's going to be
I
an
don't think
interesting
there
one.
will be one. I think it will just do what
Mm.
73 Yards did, and it will just have text.
Oh, that'd be fun. That'd be fun.
Yeah, I
yeah,
think, or either that, or will be something very, very short, like you used to get with Torchwood.
Yeah, yeah,
It will have its own little theme or little bit of like music in the background, which will be sort of exclusive to that
Mm.
show.
Yeah.
yeah. Do we
But
think? Do we think that each episode, like Children on Earth, Torchwood, I think they had that like day one, day two. Do we think we get like maybe get a similar concept of like episode titles on this, or do you think each episode because it's basically just gonna be one story, isn't it? So do we think they just don't have any episode titles at all? Or they just call it War Between Land and Sea?
Episode one, episode two, episode three, so on.
Makes it makes a better sense,
Yeah.
doesn't it?
Yeah.
You could do, depending on how the structure is on the show, if it's 5 episodes, it'll probably be what Flux did. It'll be just chapter one, chapter two, chapter three. Basically, in other words, episodes one, episode two, episode three. Um, but yeah, I'm looking forward to this. I think what's really made me really excited about it is Lorne Bouth, who's the composer for this series. He has done Mission Impossible. He has done Wallace and Gromit. He has done literally everything.
I had no idea about
And yeah, Mission. He's
Yeah, it's quite a big name.
it's a big
Uh,
name.
um, he did the theme music for his Materials. If
Yeah,
you ever watch that,
absolutely. And it was really his music is very, very good. And no, yeah, I think this series, the spin-off, I think it's going to be great. The minimum is going to be is great.
yeah,
And I think it's just I do feel as though it's a victim in what's happened with the deal. Like I do think this whole how Disney has handled it isn't great.
yeah,
Do you know what I think? There's a couple of things that I feel about with the War Between Land and the Sea, but I think there's one thing for me, which is the fact that obviously this has been made with the help of Disney, and I think this will probably be we're going to look at it in a totally different way because of the fact that with Doctor Who, obviously we're comparing it a lot to what we've seen in the past and stuff like that. Whereas with the War Between the Land and the Sea, I don't really think there's that sort of burden of having so much of a history behind it. So I think like Disney will, I think we'll sort of like see it more of its own as its own thing, and because of that, we might probably perhaps appreciate it a little bit more. Um, the one thing that I keep thinking about, and I kind of hope that my theory isn't true, but it seems to me that the war between the land and the sea, this wasn't going to be the only installment of that because it looks like, and I don't know if I'm correct in saying this. If anyone wants to interject, please feel free. This looked like it was going to be a few seasons called The War Between and then something.
Mm.
So the land and the sea being the first like installment, and then you'd get something else, like another five-part series, the war between something else.
Mm.
So what do you think about that? Do you think that is the case, or do you think that might still be the case, or do you think that now it's
That
just be a
theory.
case of the war between the land and the sea is just going to be its own thing, and we're not going to see anything else because that was part of the Disney deal?
I had that theory as well because people have
Yeah.
been referring to it as the war between, and maybe it's just because it's a long name. But to me, I think the war between is, if not a standout of a title more than the land and the sea. I think the land and the sea is after the semicolon, the hidden semicolon. And that's where I think the show is probably going to lean towards. They still could, like BBC said that they're fully committed to the show. So they still could do it if it ends up being a like the Celebrity Traitors. If it ends up being a huge success, then people are thinking, yeah, let's do it.
I think this could also be a show for the casual viewer as well. For people who have
Yeah.
perhaps disconnected from Doctor Who a little bit, where it's going to have elements of Doctor Who in it, but it's not going to be quite as
Yeah.
um, I don't know what the word I'm trying to look for is, but that's the thing
It
with the
can
War.
be its own thing as well.
That's
Yeah.
it. It can be its own thing. It has elements like Unit and the
Yeah.
Sea Devils, but ultimately it's going to be its own show. And
Yeah.
I do think that going back to what we were saying about the episode titles and stuff like that, I had it in my head that the land and the sea was just going to be the name of the story, and that was going to be like it, if that makes sense. And then you've got five episodes of that.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people actually get confused because they felt because Disney are part of Doctor Who, they feel like a lot of this Disney stuff is just like theirs alone, and then they may feel like Disney have more power over Doctor Who. But I think the show is Doctor Who's, right? The war between land and sea, war between other things. It's Doctor Who, so I feel like if they do eventually get another partner in the future, they can easily take that up. Keep doing it. Five episodes that of you could do Cybermen and Daleks. You don't even have to do a villain. You could do something else entirely.
I have a question for you guys. Here's a question. Now that we can presume that the 2026 Christmas special is going to be the end of this era, which Lua will say, do not assume that because it hasn't been announced, and I would agree to him. But let's just for hypothetical case assume that it could be the end for it. Um, did you find yourself rewatching the 60th more than the both seasons combined?
I've got to be really honest with you. Yes. And quite
Honestly, yeah,
recently too.
same, same.
3 episodes out of 16 or 17, 18 of Ncuti's run showcase
Yeah.
the quality in the writing.
Yeah, yeah,
And that's without Disney.
absolutely.
Yeah.
yeah, I watched those episodes so much. Like the Star Beast,
Yeah.
Wobbly, and the giggle. I mean, the giggle, brilliant, brilliant. And then I think the issue is I think the issue isn't just because of the context and the quality of the episodes that Shooty got, especially in his first season. I feel like maybe one of the issues was um, you base his pretty much his whole era around Christmas, right? And that is a problem. That is a big problem because you don't base a whole era around Christmas, right? And I know they were gonna release it straight after, but they didn't. They did it in a normal slot like May. So I feel that was a problem to even focus this era, bringing it back to Ruby Sunday. I don't think that helped because the casual viewer just come in on maybe on one of the episodes they don't know, and this whole era was supposed to be about the future, wasn't it? And not so much about going back so much. And I think that's all this era has done. We've gone back. We've gone back to Susan. Unfortunately, we didn't get the
Mm.
ending that maybe Susan wanted.
Yeah.
But this is the problem, and it's not everyone's fault. It's not. But we are in an issue here where there are so many storylines not solved. Um, and I'm not entirely convinced that those will be answered in a 2026 Christmas special.
I have a theory.
Oh yeah.
Well,
I
here
have
we
a
go. Theory time again.
theory time.
Yeah.
I've become the new Lua, and that video that was released about his whole theory got thousands of views. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah,
I
the
saw
one about the
close your ears.
Midnight Monster.
The Midnight was proud of him.
That was incredible, that theory. Like,
It,
wow.
it was incredible. And
That was brilliant, yeah.
the theory that I have for the 2026 Christmas special
Mhm.
is we will have, this is my gut instinct, and me and Lua have been talking for months about how just with Shuti Gatwa, like there's always been some rumblings about how he didn't really quote unquote commit to the show. And me and Lua are basically saying, well before those reports even came out, we were just saying, I don't think he's really been committing to the show because all we're seeing of him is between takes of him and then sex education. This is my theory. I think what will happen is in the Christmas special, we will have Billy and we will have David. I think what will happen is Billy won't be the 16th Doctor. I think that would be too much of a gimmick to do again. I think Billy will be Rose Tyler. Make it simple. I think what Russell has listened to probably the most is keep it simple, because then viewers will latch on. And he would have clearly listened to the fans as well, with the whole Omega and Sutek. So he would keep it simple. Um, and how I would assume what would happen is it will be, bear in mind, this aspect isn't, this is basically collecting what I've heard in the grapevine, and sort of culminating into my own little theory as well. Basically, the theory goes from other people is that Rose will be looking for 14, and then 14 and Rose will unite and stop the Daleks. But in doing so, now this is where my theory comes in. Rose isn't the Doctor, and I think what will happen is Rose will be in pain because not only is she not the Doctor, but she's also traveled from a different dimension. In the last episode, it was all about the reality war. And I think, like what Lua was saying, the glass shattering clearly was an artistic choice. And I think what will happen is it'll be one of those time is running out aspects where if they don't reach this point, Rose will die. And we don't want that. And I think what will happen is to fully end the David Tennant gate of him coming back. Now, this is where, again, I'm culminating from other people's theories. So that little bit I just explained was my little theory. This is where I'm hearing people talk about. I think what will happen is there's two aspects to it. One, we will see the new Doctor after 14 and Rose sort of become regeneration glitter, and it'll form the new Doctor, if that makes sense. Or two, I don't know if you saw, but in the reality war, it wasn't a normal standard morphing effect in the regeneration. It was a fade in, going away, fade
Yeah.
back out. I think Shooty has a potential to return briefly, just to have a fulfilling organic ending. And I think then he'll get his Dalek. Again, most of which I heard on the internet, but I think that's my theory is that Shooty will come back. I think Rose is Rose. David will be there, and from what everyone's talking about, it will be a 20-year. It won't be a sequel to Doomsday because then that's too much of a nostalgia bait. But I think what will happen is it will be a Dalek story and it will be a chance to end things. But I think what will happen is who was it? The boss? I think the boss could be Davros.
Oh, that's some I've not heard yet.
Because if we think about it, it all started off with Davros with that Children in Need skit.
I
Yeah,
didn't even think of that. That's a very good point because I don't
yeah, I didn't.
because they recreated Davros or somewhat recreated Davros and brought him back for that one little skit, like you said.
Yeah, yeah,
And
definitely.
it would be quite a good full circle moment for that to sort of for him to sort of come back and have a story. Um, yeah, that's a great idea. I didn't even
And
think of that. But it would be very weird that Davros is the boss of the Meep. I don't know.
Yeah,
That,
I don't know if he'd be in charge of the meat.
could it be
If
a
anything, I think it would just set the Daleks on the meat.
how do we even know that, you know, as anyone, I don't know if anyone's seen Peacemaker season two yet, but um there
I
is
haven't.
you
No.
haven't, so I'm not going to say anything, but there is an aspect, it's promoted in the trailer, so it's not spoiling it. But there is an aspect
Ah,
of it where basically Chris goes to another dimension through his doors, basically. And to me, I couldn't help but think, right, it was all about shifting the reality by 1 degree. And clearly this wasn't the plan.
yeah,
And I think the messaging behind this is basically being meta. And I think that's how they'll probably resolve things. And I think what will happen is Rose coming back is another way of showing again reality isn't what is yet. And I think what will happen, it gives me a little bit of goosebumps, but if they were to lean into the whole 20-year anniversary aspects of Doomsday and Army of Ghosts, why not just make it as if Daleks and Cybermen combined and they joined forces and it was just, and this is where 14 comes into play, and then 15 has to, then you've got your Daleks and Cybermen together in one episode, and then you go shoot these tick
mhm.
boxes. um but again, would it be too depressing to show in Christmas Day? That's the thing, they never say Christmas Day 2026, they just say Christmas 2026. So
Mm.
we don't quite know yet if well no, it's Christmas special was announced, wasn't it? So
It,
just
it will be on Christmas Day, yeah.
I
oh, do we know if it's just one episode or whether it's going to be multiple?
I think it'll probably be one. I think Russell's done with the whole Rose plot. I don't think he wants to go into the whole, not him being done full stop. I think as soon as he introduced it, he was done. Like he was done with that story. He didn't really want to tell it. So I think one episode, make it as exciting and ambitious and also effective as possible. Um, but yeah, I have to say, can I just ask a question? This is going off a little bit of a tangent, but I'm catching up with you guys as well.
Yeah, of
Thoughts.
course.
I want your thoughts on something that has sparked a lot of conversation in the Doctor Who fan base, and we briefly spoke about it. Robert Shearman, what do we
Mm.
think of his comments?
You're going to have to fill me in because I'm not 100% on what this is.
Okay, so to fill you in, basically Robert Shearman, I think it was for Doctor Who magazine, basically was talking about the show and the current state of it. and he basically said, at the moment, I'm in a bit of I'm always with the show in a bit of a push-pull factor, and currently I'm in a pull factor. Well, to be honest, I think this is me just going roughly on what the quote says. To be honest, I think the show is as dead as we've ever known it.
Mm.
And basically saying the reason behind this is the reason why he said this is because obviously he's a writer and he does novelizations and he does loads of Doctor Who stuff content wise for books. And he said even during the hiatus days in the 90s and before 2005, there was this
Yeah,
aspect where in each book there was at least a current Doctor to write for. Like
yeah,
for in the 90s, you had Sylvester McCoy, and then in the late 90s to early 2000s, you had Paul McGann. There
yeah,
was at least a form of a current Doctor. With Billy Piper, they don't quite know how to approach that. Like, how do you write that?
yeah,
I agree with him. I like
yeah. I
personally,
get it. I get it. I totally get it.
but I think the reason why fans are like people are saying, why are fans, completely misleading his words? Well, they're not. He's just said as dead as we've ever known it. You cannot, you know,
It's
that's a headline.
undeniable.
You could
I
have
mean,
said
like, yes, I think it sounds worse than it is because yeah, he's right. With as writers, they don't have anything to work from. As a show, we don't know what's going on with it, and I don't know if they know anything about what's going on either. So yeah, he is right.
I
I
think maybe
think, but
go on.
no, no, no.
No, I'll let you finish it.
Go on, James.
No, 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 Josh. I'll let you finish.
I just think like I think like a lot of things when people make these kinds of claims that it was kind of blown out of proportion. Yeah,
oh,
that's my stance.
I think he should have said, in my personal opinion, as uncertain as we've ever known it.
That is exactly
Yeah,
what I was going to say. I think it's just the wrong choice of words. It's not that the show is dead. It's just the show is in the most uncertain position that it's been in
it
before.
is. It
Yeah.
is. Yeah.
And I think fans, I'm not going to name any people because that's not what I do, but I've watched
Yeah.
various videos, people saying, "Oh no, but I agree to him. He's saying everything." The fans, agree with him. It's like, yeah, but for, publicly, what he did was the most unprofessional thing he could have ever done because he basically said to his employers, what you're currently doing is as dead as we've ever known it. And you're basically saying goodbye to writing more Who because even though I think he came out saying, I think I was a little bit too negative. You think? I'm not joking. Like, you think? Because saying as dead is basically saying it's not coming back. Being uncertain, there is at least some form of possibility. And I'm sorry to say this, Robert, but think before you say, because I think what happened then is it got blown out way out of proportion. Jane Tranter was interviewed on the radio, and a journalist basically said, but the fans might be alarmed when the writer Robert Sherman said that the show is as dead as we've ever known it, not having any context as what he was actually talking about. And rightfully so, Jane Tranter's like, I think that's really rude. Like you've got to think about what you're saying because it may come across as rudeness, as selfish, and saying as uncertain as we've ever known it gives a little bit more clarity of what you're talking about. It's right explanation, wrong way approaching it, if that makes sense.
I think I think the way he said it as well can also indicate that you just really dislike Doctor Who as well, and I think I think he just meant it like the points everyone's made, and but I do think he isn't wrong to a certain extent, but he isn't right as well. Um, I think like you just need to be careful what you say, and it goes to anyone about anything. Like mention people do YouTube videos on Doctor Who, leaks as well. You've got to be really careful with this kind of stuff because Especially this is going off topic as well of Doctor Who, but yesterday at time recording Celebrity Traitors final, and it was leaked. Right, it was leaked. All the producers found out the final was leaked, and begging everyone, if you know, don't say anything. And I think that, and I also think that should go the same for Doctor Who. I think there should be an annually post every week, or some sort of warning, for people, so because people do leak it, don't they? Um, and I don't think it's hard. It's really hard nowadays because I think it's gone. It goes back to the 50th anniversary as well because that was leaked, unfortunately. And I don't. It's annoying because it just ruins it for everyone else.
I do
Mm,
think that you can tell people not to leak it and warn them as much as you like. I think the sad reality is it's still going to happen anyway because of the fact that there are some people out there who just feel like they have to be first to be able to publish like what's going on and all the news and that kind of thing. I think a lot of it, unfortunately, is I guess just a burden with modern technology. The fact that people can just upload videos on YouTube and have it explode in a matter of seconds and minutes. I think, unfortunately, that's very, very difficult to avoid. It's not like in when Doctor Who was first revived in 2005. Back then, I don't even think you. I think that was when YouTube only actually first got invented. And don't forget, TikTok wasn't a thing then. You couldn't. It wasn't possible to spread that sort of news so quickly, even if you did find out.
Yeah, I agree. I think I was just, as you guys were talking about this, I was just thinking maybe just for the UK at least, like clearly the BBC has a bylaw, agreement when it comes to BARB figures and, all these things like they have to make publicly. I'm surprised yet that there is no legalization um of leaked NDA rules as well. Like if actors, let's say for example, Mason, you and I were talking about this about a week or two ago. Poor Millie Gibson had to keep her mouth shut with
mm,
the rumors that were going around her. Um, I have to say she had to. Like there was no other way for her to speak up about it
yeah.
because it would have broken her contract, which is a legally bonding thing for the actor and for
Mm,
the company to do. I do think, however, when it comes to leaks, this is where I think YouTubers need to calm down with when it comes to leaks because a lot of the times they're looking at it from people who are a bit of a hearsay situation. And I do think there needs to be some form of legalization on not only people that are leaking the damn information, but the people who are then spreading it. Because when they spread it, it becomes wildfire. Look at the damage it did before season two. Like the Sun, February, I think we can all agree now we can look back on it in a bit of retrospective, was 95% inaccurate. That 5% that they got, like I was talking about this with Lua as well, like these information don't come from nowhere, they come from at least somewhere. And the only report that they probably got it from was that Ncuti Gatwa was leaving, and it was a bit of gossip at the time. Like that's probably where they got it from. There was gossip, and they got their information thinking Ncuti Gatwa leaving, and show will be axed. Half of it was right, half of it was bloody rubbish. Like they're moving on from the deal, but there needs to be some form of legalization on leaking stuff out because not only does it do humongous damage to the people, but it ruins the excitement as well. Like, I know it's going a little bit off topic as well. Stranger Things is about to come out, but already there's been articles being made on drama on set, and I'm like, why is this coming out? This is damaging. And I do think what BBC need to do just to control it, if they're really committed to the show, do something about the leaks because clearly someone's working on it. Clearly someone's leaking it. And they're, sorry to say this, half-assing at the moment because it's just damaging to the show. And it was written on the walls when season one was shooting because you first had the diva reports from Millie Gibson, which became untrue. Um, and then you had Shooty leaving. Then you had the Disney deal happening. Like half of, most of the information that we're getting is coming from scoopers, not from actual reliable sources. And I think that's so damaging for an IP. But then, yeah, again, I understand that's just the harsh reality that we're living in. But BBC could do something about that, like make sure who they're hiring will not leak it.
I do think though, as much as we all say this, it's rather than said than done, isn't it? Because you can say this about every show, right? Like Stranger Things is going to transmit in a few weeks. They've already released the first 5 minutes of it. So, and it happens. It happens with Doctor Who anyway. Like sometimes, which I don't know what everyone's opinions were on this, but this happens especially for the 60th anniversary. Before the episode even came out, they would share like 3 to 5 minutes of it before it's even come out. And
Mm.
yeah, I mean the Toy Maker, for example. We all knew the Toy Maker was come back a year before because it got leaked. So it's that's annoying.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I get it, but like they were being very careful about how they showed bits and pieces from those stories.
Yeah.
I think because like we only ever got like fleeting glimpses, and then the most we had bit for quite a while was like a big 2.5 minute trailer. So I think like they were very careful about it all, honestly.
Yeah.
I agree. Like the clips that they would release for each episode. I don't watch the next time teaser clips that they give for each episode because it's too long. 2 minutes
Yeah.
out of a 45-minute episode. It's too long. You already got 2% you've watched. And I just stay away from them. But when I watch the episode and there's, let's say, I don't know, a particular moment where Star Beast. The Star Beast, when the moment where of course, like this mirror door closed on, and Donna and the Doctor were separated. It's the moment where David Tennant's like, "No, you can't help. You can't." I thought that's I love that moment. Ended up being the clip that they used. I'm like, why are you spoiling it? Genuinely, just leave it alone.
Mm.
But again, it's marketing. They have to. Like in any project, they have to show clips just for the clicks. Um, but can I also ask a question for you guys as well when it comes to, let's say we're under the assumption, because we don't know for sure, do we think this is Russell's last hurrah?
Mm.
I hope not, if I'm honest, because I do think he's still got more to offer.
Yeah.
Um, if he does take a step back, I wouldn't want him to leave the show completely. I think the show under his
Yeah.
care is the reason why we've still got it today. Um,
Yeah, it is. I
he,
mean, it pretty much is.
yeah, I think he does know how to write very very good episodes. We've seen it in his first tenure, and even in parts, even in his second tenure as well. I don't know how much influence Disney has had over over it, but I wouldn't. I still see Russell as a safe pair of hands for the show. That's kind of how I look at
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Um, I think I would like him. I'm in the minority because there is a small group of us that still want him there. Um, and there's a larger group of them who, unfortunately, And it does come. I do feel sometimes it comes under bullying, because
Yeah, of course.
you got all these people, even the YouTubers, even just people in general,
Yeah,
just saying, "I don't want you. You've ruined the show." Even people who comment on my post saying, "I can't wait for him to be gone." I mean, why? Just because you didn't like a fair
yeah,
few episodes, right? Don't get me wrong. We can't rely on Russell forever. He's 62, right?
yeah,
But for now, even if so, I feel like it goes this way, right? In an ideal world, he writes a Christmas special. He could leave. He could go.
yeah,
He could stay. I would love him to stay. If that's with a new streaming partner. For me, I've argued to the point that for this next series of Doctor Who, I don't want a streaming partner at all. I would rather us not
yeah.
have a
I
streaming
agree.
partner. So I'd love to see the differences. Say Russell writes it, majority of the episodes. I want to see what the difference is between not having a streaming partner like Disney Plus, an American streamer, and different. If it's no better, right? If we think Disney, the episodes under Disney are better than not having any, let's say in the next series, fine.
Mm,
Okay. Then there might be a little bigger, a bigger issue. But eventually, when Russell goes, I would like him to be like he's still work at Bad Wolf, still be in charge of things. Next showrunner needs to be someone who likes Doctor who knows the show. Don't want a random. So yeah, at the moment in time, I think Russell stays, but I understand people's concerns and from the statement Doctor Who
yeah,
released on Doctor Who Day saying he has agreed, and we all know how that sounds. It kind of sounds.
yeah,
It doesn't seem like when you're on the job you don't agree. You kind of
It sounds
told.
like there was a
yeah,
massive falling out from what I could
yeah.
hear. Like from what it sounded like he agreed to do it. It sounded like there has been a huge falling out between Disney and BBC and
Mm,
Bad Wolf. And I think we forget Russell is the Bad Wolf side. I think what's happened is that
yeah,
BBC and Disney. Now, this isn't me being personal with either. Like, I am very appreciative for what they've done for us. But at the same time, from a filmmaking side of things, you've got to think with your strategic hat on. I think people have been referring it as the Disney BBC deal. And with them, what's sandwiched in between Bad Wolf, they have been probably been miscommunicated to death about everything. And that's probably where the issues have come from. And I think how Russell probably just thought this was, oh my God, like the amount of miscommunication that we're getting or something like I don't know if there's even miscommunication. I wasn't there. I
yeah,
I was in my cinema room sweating before I was having a presentation, let alone
yeah,
knowing what's going on with Disney. So take that into
yeah,
consideration, if you will. But I do think that Russell probably just had enough with the miscommunication and is probably thinking, yeah, I'll do this Christmas special and maybe
yeah.
I'll do more, but I don't want to have that experience again. Do you get what I mean?
I mean, all I want is for him to wrap up everything he's been setting up in a satisfying way. And then I'll be honest, I do want some fresh blood on the show. I think it needs a new start, honestly.
Yeah.
What I will say is that in the last sort of 3 to 5 years of the show, we've seen a lot of change in a short period of time. And if we do get a new showrunner, uh, there's one thing I want, and that is that I personally think that it would be in the best interest of the show that we've got today for them to just sort of subtly continue with what Russell has started. I think I guess almost in a similar way to how Moffat took over Russell the first back in 2010. It was different, but ultimately it wasn't too different. There was a lot of sort of story behind the scene which sort of carried across. I do think we need someone to steer the ship and keep it stable for a little while. I think
Yeah,
that
we do. We
having
do.
I think having someone come in with totally new ideas. I mean, it's great that they'll have new ideas and they'll want to take the show a certain direction and change it and sort of do it in their image. I think that we've only had this era for, excluding the specials, 16 episodes. We've had,
Mm.
it's been a very short era, if that makes any sense. And then
Yeah,
obviously we had quite a radical change in the era prior to that, in Jodie's era under Chibnall, where we went
yeah,
in a very different direction. I think that, bearing in mind, even the stories from that era haven't been wrapped up yet. Certainly, the stories in this era
yeah,
haven't been wrapped up yet. I don't really want us to open up another dimension of the show
yeah,
whilst neglecting what's already been built. I think there needs to be some level of stability. I personally, if we get a new showrunner, I would like to be someone who has been involved with the show over the last couple of years.
Yeah.
I
yeah.
might be. No, I think everybody knows who it might be.
I wonder who, Jack.
I wonder who. Does it start with a Pete and end with a McTie?
What about Robert Sherman?
Oh, actually, you
Sorry.
know what? Fair enough. That'd be a good choice as well
Yeah.
He's
because
a
he
big.
has written some of the best Who related stuff. So he would be a good shout.
There
Yeah.
was another
I-
person that was floating about. There was I wouldn't say a leak,
yeah.
but the bait. Well, no, it was a leak. Sorry, I got really into the whole. There's me being a hypocrite saying no more leaks, but
Who's your source?
you just get naturally involved in those leaks. But there was
Yeah, it just catches
people
your
talking
eye,
about
doesn't
that.
it?
Yeah, but it was basically just to add a little bit of context. Now, I don't know if this is true or not. It's probably
Yeah.
most likely that this is untrue. Um,
Mm.
Bad Wolf and BBC have both have different ideas for their showrunners. May I
Hmm.
just say, if they ever do legalized leaks, I have such a gob that I would probably break that law instantly. Um,
Yeah.
um, but basically, how it's going is that BBC have one idea for who they want for the next showrunner, but Bad Wolf have another. Now, that completely contradicts things with what other leaks have been saying and how they're saying, oh, after this era, Bad Wolf will depart as well. And I'm like, no, they won't.
Mm.
Like, Bad Wolf is just such, they are so proud of having Doctor Who with Bad Wolf that, like, they've even, like, I don't know if they even have, but they've named their company after a character, after a story arc in Doctor Who. Um, and I think that they would be too proud to have Doctor Who leave.
Yeah, of course.
And I think from what they've said is that Bad Wolf and Russell are very interested in no surprise here, Pete Matai. But
Yeah, of course.
but BBC are leaning towards more of a fresh face. And
Yeah.
they are
I get both
thinking
perspectives.
they're thinking Jack Thorne.
Yeah.
I haven't seen a Jack Thorne episode. I know he's done Adolescence. But the issue is with having a Jack Thorne is like what you said, Mason. They need to have they need to at least like the show to write it. And I don't know if if he loves it or doesn't. I'm not sure, but I know he was meant to write an episode in series 5, I believe. But the reason why Stephen Moffat cut it out is because the script didn't really feel like Doctor Who. After having an entire era, not this era, but the Chibnall era, where it never felt like Doctor Who, do you really want another era where it doesn't feel like Doctor Who again?
That's my biggest fear. I I do feel like, and I know the Chibnall era has had plenty of criticism, and even this new era of Russell T Davies with Disney, but I do feel like that's the one thing that they have got right in this era is that it does, even though we might not particularly like the style and we have fair criticism of it, I do feel like that it feels like Doctor Who again. I felt like under the Chibnall era, they went maybe a bit more down the drama route, and it could have been called something else, and they may have gotten away with it, especially in Series 11.
I think I've been rewatching Chibnall's era. Um, I don't want to bury the lead when I say this, but it doesn't age well. For at least the most part. Series 11 is one of the worst modern seasons of Doctor Who I've ever seen. Like I hate saying that, but it is because it doesn't the core thing you have to get right is it has to feel like Doctor Who. It doesn't feel like Doctor Who. And with that, you don't have a story arc. Again, you're basically stripping away the things that work for the show. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And that's where that era. Now I just finished watching Spyfall Part One, and I am very proud to say that it's or happy to say that that episode for the most part does age well. The
Oh
out
yeah,
the other aspects I would say as well that does age well for me is Jodie Whittaker. Like she does age well for me because
oh yeah, she's brilliant.
and I think that she was given a little bit too much hate and from me as well at the time, but the
I
one thing
agree. Yeah,
the one thing I would say with her is I do think when I say this that I think she probably just wasn't a popular doctor. And this is where I
yeah.
don't want to lean into politics here. And I'm
Mm,
trying my very hardest to word this well, but I think the show needs a just for this, you know, 3 seasons at least, just for the show to get back into grips. I think the show needs to go back to more of a traditional form of Doctor Who again. Now, this isn't me coming from a casting perspective. It's coming from a how the show is going to feel familiar again. Um, and I think they need a David Tennant level. Maybe like I don't know if they would have I'm very aware that this is going out publicly, so I don't want to like say anything that sounds like sexist or racist or
yeah,
anything.
of course.
I loved Shooty and I really like Jodie, just to make it out there, but I think they need
Yes,
the
of
David
course.
Tennant level again to really grab the viewers. Like
Mm,
imagine having Jacob Elordi as the next Doctor. You would get those casual viewers in, not because of the show, but because of who you cast.
yeah,
I do think that when you have a show which has a lot of uncertainty to it, the solution to that is to go back to your roots. And I
mm,
think that's what Doctor Who needs to do.
yeah,
That's what I'm trying to say. I think it needs to go back to its roots, needs to go back to what people love. And dare I say it, if you're going to if you can, and I know we're living in a different, climate now, but have 13 episodes again. Like I know it's probably way more difficult than it should be, but have 13 episodes again. Make those episodes really exciting. Let us delve into the show for 13 weeks every year because 13 weeks, is a large portion of your year. And
yeah,
if you have 13 episodes, and let's say like what you were saying, James, having, in the slam dunk in the middle of that season, having a two-parter, imagine it. I bet you if the writing was at least solid and Jodie had that, she'd probably go down as probably a very, very good doctor to the public eye again. And same
yeah,
same goes to Shooty. I think the issue is with Jodie, with her
yeah.
doctor. I think even I'll have to say this as well. And I'm aware that Josh, I know you really like 13. I do
Mhm.
think with 13, there was an aspect there that even when I'm rewatching, I'm just like something's still not clicking with me. Um,
Yeah,
and with,
fair enough.
and with Shooty, I think even though he had less episodes, he clicked with me. And I was trying to think
Yeah,
what is it that's not clicking with me with 13? But for some reason, Joe Martin clicked with me.
I think I could
And
tell you. I think I could tell you the problem is with clicking with doctors. So, the reason for me, I was the same as you, Jack, with Shooty. As soon as he pops out from David Tennant in the giggle, what is it for me is Shooty's energy as the Doctor. It reminds me so much of David Tennant's energy.
yeah,
at the
Hmm.
time, and I think maybe the reason sometimes I didn't gel too much as Jodie, but the thing is I gelled more to Jodie than I did with Peter Capaldi, and I think that's the personal preference.
Mm.
For me,
Yeah.
Peter, because in our generation we're not used to the older type Doctor like Peter Capaldi. We're used to the younger type, which majority of them are. And for me, I didn't gel with Peter Capaldi properly, maybe till his later in the second series that he done, and then definitely in his third series. But
Yeah.
but I
Yeah.
think it's all about body language. It's all about body
Yeah.
language. I felt the reason I didn't gel with Peter Capaldi at the start because he sounded weird at the start. He's talking about his organs. Why? Why are you doing this?
Yeah.
And then he's really weird and deep breath. And then yeah, he just sounds very different in his first series. And then in his second series, to me, he seems much more like the Doctor. But then with Jodie, right? For me, it's about the body language. I didn't feel like shooting and boom.
Yeah.
Probably his first Doctor moment, right? Um, and then
Yeah.
with Jodie, I didn't feel like when she was trying to save the day, she didn't have like a Joe Martin has that really big body language saying I'm the Doctor, but when Jodie says it,
Yeah.
it's really delicate, like I'm the Doctor. So
There's
it's a very the tone of voice
Yeah.
is why we maybe disconnect from her
there's
version.
yeah, there's another thing as well. Now, I just want to make sure as well what I'm saying this with someone who was so excited for the first female Doctor. Like bear me when
Yeah.
I say this.
Yeah.
Um, I think as well what probably didn't quite click with me as you were talking is that each in at least in modern Who, we're not I'm just going to disclude classic Who just for this section. There's been a consistent thing with each Doctor, and unfortunately I do think Jodie just breaks down. I think that's why it never clicked. But for some reason it clicked with me with Joe Martin. The Doctor has this masculine energy as well that if you think about it, Christopher Eccleston, I'm just going to break down with each Doctor just to give it a bit of context and why I think Joe Martin represents that better. Um, Christopher Eccleston showed grief, and he clearly showed that he struggled to open up. And to a lot of men, that's really relatable. David Tennant, going into then David Tennant, he was showing that with his emotions. He was showing that he wanted to attach, he wanted attachment. Again, going to that masculine energy of the time. Um, and then actually, yeah, it's really clicking with me now. Now that I'm thinking with Shooty, because with Matt Smith, not only do you have someone that's so energetic, but think about it, his doctor would shout when he wanted to as well. It wasn't just a cute young bloke being the doctor with a bow tie and all that, catching all the ladies. No, he would shout.
Yeah.
Like, do you remember that moment in The Beast Below where he properly raised his voice to Amy and the Queen?
Yeah.
Like that moment, I'm like, oh my God. Like he was
Every
so
time I go back and rewatch an episode with Matt Smith, I am always reminded of what a great doctor he was. And
yeah,
I know that everybody says this about him, but he was a young man at the time, and yet he still felt like he was this centuries-old being. Like you
absolutely.
still believed he had this history about him.
And
Matt
going from
Smith was
that,
so underrated as well.
absolutely.
Mm.
And I think with Matt Smith, he had that old man scientist approach as well.
Yeah, definitely.
And then going to Peter Capaldi, nonetheless, basically Peter Capaldi then represented that more visually, but also showcased a even though he's old, in this particular incarnation, like physically, he was an older doctor to Matt Smith. He had that almost going back to his own roots factor. Now, going to Jodie Whittaker, again, can I just make this clear? Has nothing to do with her gender, nothing. But the
Yeah, of
way
course.
she approached it, I think there could have been an aspect of, You could have still showcased that, just it doesn't genderless or whatever. You could have still showed that masculine. Like that's where the Doctor is in his heart's his roots, because he's been like each and every Doctor kept that consistent. Um, but with Jodie Whittaker, it was so full of energy. So bear in mind, she had her moments with drama and all that's great, but there was never this, like, oh, hi, fam, and all that, like, type of thing. And then she had a Yorkshire accent and all that. I'm just like,
Yeah.
that's where it wasn't clicking. And then when Joe Martin came along and showcased this tough, thick-skinned, amazing energy, I'm like,
Mm.
what happened here? Do you get what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
that's where I'm thinking, what's going on here? Then once they cast David Tennant again, it was going back to this flawless, not flawless, this flawed Doctor, who made mistakes, who was all about opening up to his own emotions. And then when it came to Ncuti Gatwa, going into today's generation, the new masculine, like what we saw in Alan Carr and with Nick helping him, it was about opening up, it was about crying. And that's why we saw probably just a little bit too much of that, but that was today's standards of masculine. The reason why I think Jodie Whittaker just didn't quite click with me, and bear in mind, this is my own opinion and it has nothing to do with her gender, she just never had that familiarity to her Doctor. And that's where I think
Yeah, of
people
course.
don't want to watch her Doctor, because it just doesn't feel like Doctor Who. Do you get what I mean? Like, there's
Yeah,
ancient being who,
Yeah.
yeah.
yeah, that's where I stand on that.
I get what you mean because, like for example, with David Morrissey when he was the Doctor in the next Doctor, he felt like the Doctor, right? Like we all thought he was the Doctor on that day, and like most of when the Doctor starts off, that you see the Doctor, like you sort of bring that the Beast Below. Like you don't expect the Doctor to have a go at Amy like that when she gets things wrong. Like um, when Amy makes a mistake and the Doctor's like, "I don't care, you're going home." So he's really brutal on that, and you don't expect a new Doctor to do that. And I think the problem that there is no problem with the Fake Doctor, but I think maybe was an issue that she was just too nice, right? She was just too nice. Her
Mm.
Doctor was very nice to her companions most of the time, and eventually, I think down her run, she was a bit mean towards the end. But I feel like you've got to have that brutalness as the Doctor as well. And I do. I love Jodie's Doctor, and I just feel like it all comes down to how they are. Um, and I don't. I actually don't think it's got anything to do with watching Doctor Who or not, because I know Jodie didn't. I don't think that has a massive impact of the acting ability,
Yeah.
and I don't think it is directly about the acting ability. I just think it's about maybe what the stories were, or I think too much change in our era, and
Yeah.
not just because it was a female Doctor. The first episode didn't feel like we say it didn't felt like a spin-off, really, didn't it? And
I will leave you guys with this one thought, because I unfortunately need to go now. But I will leave you with
Yeah.
this one thought,
no,
just to make things on a little bit of a happy note for Jodie. Whilst I didn't particularly like creative choices she had with the performance, mark my words, she's been the best ambassador for the show, and Shooty should take some notes, because
Oh
the
yeah, I agree. I
way
agree.
Jodie Whittaker, like, I don't know if you've heard about this, James, but she was filming in Spain for her ITV show Frauds, and they asked her when she was in Spain, could you come down and do these reshoots with Shooty? Um, and she said yes. She flew from Spain, I think Spain, to Heathrow, then got a lift from Heathrow to Cardiff at 4 o'clock in the morning, slept for 2 hours, I believe, only, then got back to Bad Wolf to film her scene and went back to Spain,
Wow.
Wow.
just to show you how dedication she was for that role. And it goes to show it's never about, oh, it's if you ever hear people saying, oh, acting, at the end of the day, it's just taking jobs, isn't it? No, it's not. If you know what the jobs entails, and you know what the job's about, you will take it seriously and take it differently, because Jodie was the best ambassador for the show, and I'd say she's probably up there with David Tennant in my.
Oh yeah. Oh God,
Um,
yeah.
I
I
agree.
still don't think we've seen the last of her.
I don't think we've seen the last of her. No.
She's definitely going to be back in a special one day.
Yeah. Anyway, guys,
Right.
I will leave you be.
Thanks, Jack.
Great to
Right,
see
Jack,
you,
see
Jack.
you later,
Nice to see
mate.
you,
See you.
Jack.
Take care,
Bye.
See
guys.
you later, mate. Yeah. But yeah, just following what Jack just said about frauds, when she was getting interviewed about the show Frauds, um, she just couldn't stop talking about Doctor Who. Um, and they kept asking her, "You're not here for Doctor Who." And I said, "I don't care. I just love being the Doctor, so I'm just going to continually talk about it, and I don't care if I'm not allowed." So that's
I mean,
brilliant.
it is really evident because, like, it's not. I mean, like, it's been 3 years since she left, and she's already doing Big Finish. So that tells you everything, really, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, that, and she's already made a return, in the reality war. So yeah, it's very clear that she loves the show.
It's brilliant. I think it's really good that how
Yeah,
passionate
I think it's
she.
really sweet. I think it's really sweet. Yeah.
Yeah, like when we're speaking about Joe Martin, do we see her appearing again?
I'd really
I'd
like
love,
to,
I'd love it, but
but
I don't know if we will see her again.
I don't see it. I don't see it. I do think that Joe Martin needed like at least a mini series of her own. I still stand by
Yeah,
that today, but
yeah,
I don't see it happening.
Yeah, like how it
yeah,
happened in Story in the Engine doesn't really signify a return. It was just more like a memory, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah, she's brilliant. I mean, I would happily have her as the next Doctor if they wanted to.
Oh God, yeah, me too, me too.
I think could you imagine just putting the like out there, could you imagine instead of Shooty turning into Billy Piper if she turned into Joe Martin just for that one special?
Hmm.
The
I'd
reaction
be
that
really
we
happy
got.
with that. I'd be really happy with that.
Do be remembering the Sarah Jane Adventures with Clyde and the 11th Doctor where they would keep switching places. Um,
Oh
I,
yeah, that was fun.
I wonder if the similar thing to that may happen with Billy, and perhaps Shooty, um, perhaps, or even someone else. I'd love to see that. We've never really seen that in the regeneration, and it'd be so cool if like you would just keep switching back and forward, just like a little glimpse. Um,
Yeah, that'd be fun.
like the other incarnation isn't finished yet. Um, and they,
Yeah,
and they keep turning back. And I think that would be basically rather than Shooty, if it is a Dalek story, rather than Shooty completely change because of how busy he is now, you could just have a glimpse saying, "Oh, hello, Dalek," and then just switch back easily.
yeah,
So you don't even need to do much. Um, but yeah, it is going to be exciting. We have a long time to wait for that though. Um, just last things, guys. What are our predictions? Like Doctor Who today is today, what time release, but going into it, do you think there'll be maybe any other deleted scenes that we haven't seen or anything?
Oh, for Doctor Who
I
Day.
hope so.
Yeah,
I hope so because it's always nice seeing what we could have had, and quite often, sometimes they bring out a lot of stuff which I think they should have left in.
yeah, especially last year. That's a,
Oh goodness, yeah,
it made it make a lot of sense, like with the not reality war, the Legend of Ruby Sunday and Empire of Death when Shooty
yeah,
passed himself. I think it was like some sort of key. Um,
yeah,
it would have made more sense. But I am glad
yeah,
they took out the song like what was it, the
yeah,
song in Devil's Chord that was going to get played, wasn't it? But I'm glad that stayed
yeah. It
out.
was. Think it probably would have felt a bit out of place.
Yeah, it was a bit weird. Yeah, but but I don't know because there's probably so many deleted scenes this time, probably more than before. So um, there'll be so many of them like throughout. I think that's a possibility. You could potentially get a War Between the Land and the Sea trailer. I think that's probably a definite um thing to
Yeah, I
happen.
think we'll get something at least.
Yeah, a
I,
release
yeah,
date.
I think we'll get a lot more content for the War Between the Land and the Sea, and maybe more information on that. I mean, as for deleted scenes, I mean,
Hmm.
yeah, but right now, I don't think people are that. I don't think there's going to be a lot of people who are particularly bothered. Like, although
Yeah.
it would be fun. Um, I'm not sure.
If anything, I think it'll just annoy people more because they'll be like, why wasn't this left in and stuff like that?
I think if anything, they just now need to sort of get people excited about what's coming next, um, and maybe that is maybe like we said earlier, with the war between the land and the sea being brought forward, they're going to be able to do that once it's ended because by that point the Disney contract ends. So that's
Yeah.
so that would be I'm kind of looking more forward to that. To be
Mm.
honest, I'm really looking forward to the war between. I think that that's
Yeah.
going to be. I reckon that's going to be better than we expect, and then it would just be a case of throughout 2026, we'll gradually get fed more and more information about what's coming for the future of the show.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I think it'll be a bit like the 60th anniversary kind of thing, where you just get every few weeks or every month or two, you'll get some more information.
Emojis.
Mm.
Yeah, I did like the emojis. That'd be nice. They brought that back. That was that was a
Yeah, that was fun. That was fun.
that was fun. Like we could potentially
It gets
get
everybody talking that. I love the way they did that.
yeah. It was really cryptic. It was very fun.
Mm.
Um, I'm unsure we'll get news. I mean, I feel like about who they might say who Billy Piper's playing, but I do feel like that's more for at Christmas to release something like that. Like who if it's Billy Piper is playing the Doctor or Rose. Um, and then if there is going to be a brand new Doctor coming, or if Russell is leaving, I don't see that happening till the later part of next year. Um, like a new Doctor announcement probably this time or a bit earlier, maybe sometime in the autumn next year, because they'll be filming the Christmas special quite early next year.
I reckon it depending on when they're aiming for the next series to come out, um, after the Christmas special for next year. Because if they're aiming for early 2027, if they're going to go for a spring release again, I think we'll hear about a new Doctor probably spring 2026 because they're going to need a lot of time to film. And I think that I reckon they'll probably go down a similar method as before. I reckon they'll probably be either close to or finished filming for the next season by the time we get the Christmas special.
Yeah, I think yeah. If if Russell is leaving and they have the new showrunner already in place, um, they could easily just film that together.
Exactly.
You got the two different productions. You got your new Doctor, and then you got that. But the thing is, Billy Piper will be filming Wednesday in April, so they will film Doctor Who before then, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah.
And I would hope it's all in Badwell Studios, the majority of it, because I just fear for leaks if it's outside. But obviously there will probably be one or two bits in the outside world. But um, yeah, it just reminds me a bit like the 60th where we saw David Tennant photos. Do you
Mm.
remember like seeing the David Tennant photos and then
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
we just feel that may happen again. That may happen again. But yeah, it's gonna be good fun. We'll all come back again once the like next year. Once we've all watched the War Between the Land and the Sea, and we can review it.
Yep.
Normally we probably would review each episode, but because it's one big story, there's no point really. We might as well just review it
Yeah.
once we've seen it all, and the timing
Yeah.
of it being
Yeah.
released is like at a time where sort of Christmas and that, isn't it? So it's quite a busy time. But yeah, we'll come back next year, guys, and we'll review that.
Yeah.
All right. But yeah, thanks everyone who's joined today. Thanks to Jack, James, and Josh. And
Of course, man.
it's been really good fun
Anytime.
catching up. Yeah, and
Yeah,
yeah,
that's been, mate.
yeah, and whenever whoTalk is back, we'll bring you a new episode.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, but
and
absolutely.
yeah, but thanks everyone, and we hope you have a nice rest of your Doctor Who day. And yeah, see you next time.
Bye, guys. See you later.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
All right, bye.